So the claim that I'm refuting is contemporary songs sometimes provoke violent behavior in teens. I don't believe that's true because I believe that it's not the songs that provoke the violence, it's the culture and race that are associated with the violent music. People categorize themselves based on music that they listen to, and people that categorize themselves with music such as rap or hip-hop tend to have more violent backgrounds and cultures. This is why music is blamed for violent actions. The first secondary claim that she had was that many contemporary lyrics reflect a message of rebellion. An investigation that she had compared 1993 to 2003, but there were no other years, so that's not a valid comparison because there's 2004 to 2011. And the songs were only labeled as impulsive or hostile, and there's no correlation between violent lyrics and any specific cases of violent actions in teens. And for example, the top 10 songs of 2011 by Billboard.com, you might know these. Someone Like You, We Found Love, Moves Like Jagger, Sexy, and I Know It. Pumped Up Kick, Stare Hard Without You, You Make Me Feel, Make Me Proud, and Party Rock. 6 of those 10 songs were about love and finding love, and 3 of them were about having fun and being in the moment. And only 1 made a reference to violence. And from the top 10 songs of 2010 from AOL.com, this song reflected any reference to violence, and 8 out of 10 were about romance and love, and 2 were about having fun and spontaneous love. And none contained any explicit rebellious messages. And my response to her second claim, which was that music influences the listener's moods and outlooks on their current state, is that this was a very vague claim because it didn't say what specific music it pertained to. And people who listen to hip-hop are more likely to commit acts of violence, according to the Prevention Research Center of the Pacific Institute for Research and Evaluation in Berkeley, California. And the Black Youth Project researcher did a survey of 1,590 black, white, and Hispanic young people between the ages of 15 and 25, and they said that 58% of black youth and 45% of Hispanic youths listen to rap every day. And music is just a reflection of the culture. So again, that goes back to how it's not the songs that provoke the violence, it's the background and the culture of the people that listen to that music that provokes the violence. And her third secondary claim was that music is very valuable to the youth. Her statistics came from a 22-year-old study, so that was too old to apply. She said that that teens listen to 3 hours of music every day, but I looked up some new information and it's 4.5 hours in front of a TV and 2.5 listening to music. So I would think that movies are more influential than music. And yeah, it's true that music helps people find their niche, but it's, again, the culture of the people's backgrounds that listen to that type of music that lead to acts of violence. So that's why I disagree that contemporary songs sometimes provoke violent behavior in teens.
All right, you ID the claim pretty clearly. You suggest that there's a counterclaim. I think you're going to have to provide some support for that counterclaim in the body of the speech, and there are a couple places that you do that, although I'm not sure it's developed enough for you to really support the contention that you're making there. The individual points are signposted pretty clearly. You have challenges of the advocate's evidence. Most of the time, the argument is that it's old, and usually you provide some counter to that. For instance, reviewing the top 10 songs the last 2 years as a way of sampling whether or not there are these violent or revolutionary type lyrics in any of them. That seems like a reasonable approach to this, although you yourself suggest that the music that's most likely to have that is probably in other categories. So maybe we should be looking at the top 10 list, not of the Billboard Top 200, but of maybe particular charts like hip-hop or metal or whatever it happens to be that have those kinds of lyrics in them. Let me see. The same issue on Claim 2, you have a challenge to a lack of specificity on the advocate's evidence. This is where I think you're making your stand on the counterclaim. And you're saying that it's people who listen to hip-hop that are more likely to be violent. I think that there's a big assumption here, because all of your evidence basically says the people who are most likely to listen to it are blacks and Hispanics, and now it sounds like you're saying, well, so that means they're more likely to be violent. The inference being that blacks and Hispanics are more likely to be violent. They listen to this kind of music, so it's really that kind of grouping. And I'm not sure that that's the inference that you want to be making here. That sounds a little bit iffy. I do think that there is an argument to be made that, for instance, some of the hip-hop music glorifies particular kinds of lifestyles, like gangster rap, for instance, which does in fact contain substantial violent images. And this is a culture that has made Scarface a touchstone for themselves, and it's really that's the subculture that we should be looking at. And I don't know that you want to identify the subculture based on ethnicity, but rather on their practices and the music that they listen to. And the challenge on point 3 is basically another challenge to the study and how old it is. And you had current data that was slightly more, slightly different, but I'm not sure it supports the contention that you're making there. All right, thank you.
I like this one thing.
Megan, you got that evaluation form?
Say something else. What I say? Spontaneous love.